Alright fam, what's up? It's your girl Diva here. HWNETV is in effect, and I am here with one of my favorite people. And just so you know, everybody you're gonna see me interview is A-list caliber people, okay? I'm here with the man himself. You may know him as Mr.Afrobrutality, but he also goes by Sin Martinez. What is up, Sin? Yo, he wasn't ready. Me and Sid got history. He wasn't ready. He's like, oh, shit. I'm serious.
You got her doing shit on.
Oh yeah, you don't know. It's real. You the real deal. So I want to talk about a couple of things. People, if you don't know who Sin is, if you go on Instagram, his Instagram account, Afro Brutality. One of the things it does is it supplies daily motivation. But the thing that I like about it is, I always say, I feel like he says about 10 things I can't say. So, and I think that's part of the appeal. I mean, unfortunately, as much as y'all think my mouth is awful, there are people who are worse and who say more. He's that guy. So, talk about, for me, first let's backtrack. Let's talk about the beginnings. What is Afro Brutality? What is it?
You really want to know?
I want to know. This is what it is. Tell me what Afro Brutality is.
Well, let me tell you how it started. I was doing CrossFit in 2007.
Okay.
I did it with a few people. I came in with like Dave Lipson and Jillian, kind of on where they were at their gym, which was Velocity Gym. It's on like 58, I believe, between Lexington and Park. And they were doing this spark testing thing where they tested your vertical jump, your side-by-side leap, and all this other stuff. So out of everyone that competed, I won, and that was just based on my age. So they were trying to say, because I was the age I was at that time, I shouldn't be able to be that fast. I shouldn't be that strong, or whatever the case is. So I ended up winning that event. As we were talking, they talked about what their methodology was, and they brought up cross something. I couldn't remember what it was, but then I later Googled it, and it was CrossFit. So once I hit the CrossFit.com site, I just started doing those workouts kind of on my own. I picked the piece, picked apart the pieces, the movements that I like, and I practice them in the gym with my boys. So on the right-hand side of the page at the time, there was certifications. So I had, if I backtrack to like 2002 or 5 or whatever, I was a consultant working at home. I barely saw people. Except the Chinese guy who would come and bring me my lunch, and then the McDonald's chick who would have my breakfast, and the Blockbuster video people who would be there for their movies, right? So
young people don't know who Blockbuster is. Y'all look that up.
Google that shit. So, needless to say, probably a year into that, I'm fucking huge, right? I'm 315 pounds, pretty much pure fat, not much muscle at all. In about 2006, one of my peoples who's in the crew that I used to originally work out with, he was like, hey, let's go to the gym. I was like, all right, cool. First session at the gym, I can't do nothing, right? I can't do push-ups, I can't do pull-ups, I can't do nothing. I'm on my knees doing push-ups. Like, that's how bad it was. So you just kind of put that with my competitive element, and then boom, I was able to get back to at least a good weight, and then I took it further.
Okay.
So in that journey, I was doing triathlons and stuff, and then I came across CrossFit in 2007, as I just told you. So around 2008, I got the idea after people were asking me, how'd you lose so much weight? What are you doing? Can you help me? Can you coach me? What about my son, my children, right? So I had all these people telling me, give me advice. What can you do? Can you help me? Blah, blah, blah. So I said, you know what, this might be my next move. This could be a good pivot. I was doing corporate sales for about 25 years. I was a sales manager. I was making good money. My office was on Park Avenue, looking down Park Avenue. I had a driver. I was making good money, but it wasn't very fulfilling. You know what I mean? I had been laid off once or twice during the internet boom, so I was kind of rigid on if I could maintain, if that money or that way of life was actually something I could maintain over time. So this was like a good pivot for me. So here I was, I lost all this weight. People are already asking me for advice. I'm pseudo-training them, telling them what to eat and how to eat. So you combine that with the fact that, I'm doing triathlons and I run into CrossFit, and people are asking me to train, and I'm like, okay, my first thought was, well, what can I train them to do? Triathlon is, bike, swim, run, or
right.
swim, run, bike. So yeah, I train people how to ride a bike. I train people how to run. The swim was a little different. I was in the South Bronx at the time, so it wasn't much pools to have at the time. So couldn't really do that. I looked at CrossFit. It had a gymnastics piece, had a running piece, a kettlebell piece, nutrition piece. I said, man, this is it. So I hedged a bet on either CrossFit or I was going to work for Equinox. At the time, there was a school, and it might still be there. It was like on 14th Avenue, 14th Street, like 9th Avenue. They had like a NASM. Basically, it was a school that you could learn all that you needed to take the NASM test. And then once you did that, they'd help you with job placement, whether it was Equinox or some other place. So I hedged a bet. I signed up for that school, and I signed up for CrossFit Level 1 at the same time. And I said, well, whichever one is better is just the way I'm going to go.
Okay.
I did a week at that school. Then the week after was my CrossFit Level 1. I went to the CrossFit Level 1. I went to that school on Monday. I said, give me my money back. I'm out of here. And I took off. Now, I was trying to keep it as a secret, CrossFit, because I could see the potential. I was like, this is ridiculous. And so the first thing I said is, man, I got to run the Harlem with it. So I ran the Harlem with it. I got all my people doing it. I didn't tell them what it was,
right.
But we're all in there doing thrusters and burpees and all this other stuff. And so Afrobrutality became a thing to say, we do CrossFit, we're in Harlem, we're all black or minority, fuck with us.
I love that.
Fuck with us. Try to take us on.
So let's bring this up because, we know each other from the CrossFit community, and I don't even remember when I started. It might have been 2011 or 12, I don't know. But I remember thinking, walking in to my first CrossFit space, I was like, I am the only black person here.
Yep.
It was interesting, and I was like, wow, okay. Now, I will say, I think a lot of that is because of the way CrossFit is constructed. The economic portion is not feasible. I mean, CrossFit is not cheap.
Right.
I mean,
we're not the demographics.
It's not. It's not. So, when I came across you, it's like Afrobrutality, and at that time there was CrossFit Harlem. I was like, whoa, there's a CrossFit in Harlem? And at that point, I was like still new, and I didn't get a chance to ever really get up here and experience that, but
Right.
that was the first thing that kind of drew me to you, because I felt like, wow, he's putting this where we can get to it.
Absolutely.
Because we still can't get to it. I mean, I still go to CrossFit, and, I MC competitions, I go to, I'm all over the country, and I go to these places, and minorities are still minorities within the CrossFit community. Why? You can pick your own reasons why, but it shouldn't be that way. So the thing that I liked about you is that you created this, and this is the thing, I don't even think you were really trying to create a brand. You were just, and that's why, that's what makes it dope. Because you weren't, you were doing what you love, and you said, man, I got this knowledge, I got this thing, I gotta show my peeps.
Immediately.
I gotta show my peeps. So let's talk about CrossFit Harlem. Like, what happened? Why didn't that stay? Because I think that could have been, it was.
Well, again, okay, so here's two schools of thought. So here I am getting myself certified in 2008.
Right.
Clearly, every level 1, I'm the only one in there. I'm the only one in the running one, the kettlebells, what have you, right? So I'm still a part of that world to a certain extent because I was the only one. And I'm cordial, I'm educated, so I can interact with them with no issue, right? So they learned to love me, they started referring to me in a particular way, and I did the same for them. So I became, little did I know, I was in the inner circle, and I didn't even know it. Like, I became part of the CrossFit fabric, and I had no idea that was happening. So what I was able to do is kind of say, well, this is the way I'm going to do it, and everything you teach me, I'm going to take back to all, everything. So the real issue became the people that I met. So I met your Dutch Lowy, who I just put on my podcast yesterday that airs today, and I met Johnny Payne. I met, these are old school cats, like Greg Everett, Rob Wolf, and these guys had their own brand to a certain extent. And the one thing they told me was sin. They said, don't get lost in CrossFit. Have your own brand. Don't get, all CrossFitted out. I said, absolutely, I'm with you. I got you. So there would have never been a CrossFit Harlem if Glassman himself, who's the owner,
right,
an originator of CrossFit, didn't come to Harlem and ask me to be part of that.
I did not know
be an
that.
affiliate.
I did not know that.
He came, well, here's the thing. He was, at the time, this was 2009, and he was doing what they call CrossFit 101s. So he was kind of educating the market on what CrossFit was. It was an open forum. They'd choose a gym. He'd come, do a little, speech and everything, question and answer session, the whole nine. So he's coming to Manhattan, and he knew one gym. There was only one gym at the time. It was CrossFit NYC, and he didn't like none of them. So they said, some of his staff said something like, well, what about Sin? And he said, well, who's Sin? And then they told him, oh, he's going to all the certs, this guy's really great, so on and so forth. So the phone call, Glassman wants to come to Harlem. He's going to come see you. I said, what? So I call everybody I knew. Yo, Glassman's coming, what's really good. But I wasn't even affiliated. We just went, at the time, we would just go to competition, because it kept us fresh, it kept us hot, it kept us sparking. And we would win and sit on the stand on the podiums and stuff, and we would just keep it moving. We would debate every now and then about whether we should affiliate or not. Like, should we? But because of all the politics that I'm hearing from the OGs I came up with, they're like, nah, well, Sin, you really shouldn't have to, unless you think you really should. But when Glassman came, there's a part of me that always has respect for people that will come all the way to Harlem and break bread with me. So when he came to Harlem, break bread with me, did his thing. About 2 weeks later, his people called me, and they called me out. They said, Sin, you're not an affiliate. I said, yeah, I know. I told them it was money stuff. Like, yo, my money's tight, I can't do it. They said, it's yours, and they gave it to me. I was like, fuck, I can't turn it down.
Now you gotta take it.
Plus, the respect he came, he shook my hand right in all of them. We took pictures in front of the Apollo, this was real shit. So I said, you know what, I gotta give that respect back. So from there on out, that's when CrossFit Harlem started.
That's awesome.
Now we stayed in the, when we first did it, we stayed in the street. So we did it in parks, we did it in handball courts, and we stayed that way. Really, there was a money issue involved, but it was also like no one wanted us because of the noise we made.
Right.
I took us to 2 youth centers that I worked at part-time, and I tried to negotiate deals with them for when it got cold. One was fine, and then became like a scheduling issue, so eventually we just said, nah, that's not going to work. The second one literally threw us out, and that was because we were working on the basement, but the basement was attached to all kind of air ducts, and the sound was going up. So that's where we started. That's why I kept it that way.
That's dope. So let's talk about your logo. So the logo of Afrobrutality is funny. No matter what you design, and if you guys don't know, he designs amazing graphics and quotes and sayings, and it's levels to this shit. I'm just gonna say that. But let's deal with the logo. So the logo is the logo at its primal core is a skull and an afro.
Absolutely.
It's a skull and an afro. So I know this is not going to be the first time you heard this. Do you feel your brand is racist in any way or inclusive?
I'm totally inclusive. It's just that, and there's no but to that. It's just that I know what I wanted as a representation of myself, and that's where this all started. Like I told you, I wasn't really trying to make a brand.
Right.
I was just like, listen, we're a crew. Let me think of something real cool that we could all wear when we go to competitions. And I was like, all right. I sketched up something. I sent it to so-and-so. He was like, yeah. He sent me back. I was like, yep, that's it. Let's go. I started putting all our shirts or sweatshirts. We walked in, and everybody was like, yo, I want that. Yo, can I buy that? Yo, how can I get that? Yo, my man, what's really good? So I said, oh, damn. So I went back to went back home, and I had to start figuring it out. So I got on Facebook. I had PayPal. I was like, all right, just PayPal me, and I'll send you this and that. And then slowly, everything I did, people bought. Everything I designed, people bought. And they bought it like it was going out of style. So I said, you know what, maybe I got something going on here. So then I started playing with it. I said, well, let me design that. Let me design this. Let me say that. Let me say this. And just little by little, it just took off. And there was nothing I could do. I couldn't stop it. And the entire world was calling me. The entire world. CrossFit HQ staff wore it. Castro wore it. To the CrossFit Games 2010, he walked out. The last workout, he had my shit on. I could name names forever. Rogue Fitness was supposed to have an Afrobrutality store, but you know, we couldn't get past a few of the first designs, so we just kind of left it on the table. And I did the Kendrick Ferris one, and we just broke bread like that. But I might revisit you, Bill. But you know, it just took out of control. So to answer your question, it was made not out of malice, not out of, oh, I'm better than you. It was, this is our bat signal. This is our McDonald's golden arches. And when you see that symbol, you know what time it is. It's time to get busy, period.
I like that. So let's talk about, so I'm telling you guys there are levels to this thing. So he has a logo and it has an afro. So you see that, you know what you're looking at. But then there are the quotes. So I've been trying to be good because, you know, my personal brand has evolved. So I've been trying to behave. But the quotes. There is not a quote that does not start. And I love it because I say all the time, he says things I want to say. It'll be like, it's Monday. Fucking get over it. And it gets retweeted so many times. Like, and you know, I have a, you know, I'm heavily involved in the CrossFit community, so it's like not only am I reposted, like 50 other people have reposted it. Like your wordplay, the way your wordplay with fuck is phenomenal. I'm just gonna put it out there. I have seen you do. You know, my team was gonna call me later. Like, really, you did that interview like that? You said it twice, Steven. Now you're not getting back on the news. But anyway, I'm doing this for me. This is my channel.
Nice.
But the wordplay with fuck is phenomenal. I have never seen a person use the word fuck in so many ways, and you know exactly what they're talking about. And I feel like every quote, like, even if it doesn't relate to you, I'm reading it going like, that's how I feel today. Can't say that, but that's how I'm feeling.
Exactly.
So what, like, and I'm gonna be honest, I feel like it takes balls to do that. Cause
it takes big fucking balls.
You know what I'm saying? It takes balls because there are people like, oh my God, sin your language, or oh, he's always cursing. But bro, where you at? Hold on, I'm gonna look right now because this type of shit got. I'm gonna look at. I'm gonna just pull him up. I'm gonna just pull him up. We ain't got a front. I'm gonna pull him up. I'm gonna pull him up. So and your following says it. So you got 51,000 followers. You know. So this is how Sin starts most of his days. Beware of people in your fucking circle, but not in your corner. Like, and it may not relate to you, but right now I know you're like, you right. But every quote is like this, even the ones that relate to business, relationships. You know, sometimes it's like philosophies layered within all that. And the only difference is you said fuck. What made you say, you know what, I'm gonna do it? I don't know if people are gonna rock with me or not. Like, what made you jump? What made you take that leap and say?
It's a great question. So in 2014, 2014, I had to close my gym. When I had to close my gym because they sold the building to a charter school. They rezoned everything. They made it more of a school district. So I said, all right, you know, whatever. So they gave me like a week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks to get out of there. So I'm literally sitting at home. I'm still making some kind of money because I still got the apparel stuff. I'm doing coffee. But that energy that I used to put in there every single day, while, you know, you coming in, clients, you know, the interaction, it wasn't there. So I had all this pent up energy, and I was like, man, I don't know what to do with this. Then I started like, I want to talk to the people, but I don't know how. I'm not sure. So I just started. At first, I was posting other people's quotes. I was like, that's a good quote, and I reference other people. Then I just started thinking, every now and then, you know, a good quote would come up and it would say fuck. And I was like, man, that's cool. I like that. I'll post that. Then I started kind of taking a little bit more creative control with it. But the point of it was, I had all this pent up energy. The reason why I did the gym, the reason why I started all this, because I want to help my community. I love helping individuals reach their goals. I know how hard it is. I know how hard it was for me. It still is, but I know that the journey it's a worthy one if you got the mustard. If you got the mustard, it's a worthy one. So I try every day at that time to kind of figure out and tailor my own voice. I was like, man, I would send it to people. What do you think of this? Would people know exactly what I'm talking about when I say this? So there was a lot of strategy involved on how I was going to say it, when I was going to say it, under what tone. But the word fuck just kind of grabbed me, and it just stuck with me.
It grabs me too.
Now the history of that is the fact that I'm considered Mr. Unfuckwillable because I started making the Unfuckwillable shirts in 2010, then I trademarked it in 2011, and then I did a deal with Reebok to do the Unfuckwillable series in like 2013 or something like that. So I became, the only brand that's ever convinced Reebok to put the word fuck on a shirt. Now it doesn't exist anymore, and those shirts don't exist, but the point is, it was just something I gravitated to, and then I just kind of rolled with it. I was like, well, let me just keep trying it and see if I can get away with it. And then some people would bitch about it. Oh my God, I can't believe this. And then people would repost and say, sorry the language, but this is very good. And I get that all the time.
Yeah.
But I realized as well that, if you follow the trend of even this conversation, I'm doing shit no one's ever done before. I'm doing it for the people, with the people, and with the community in mind. So I'm doing and saying stuff that no one's ever going to say. And they may want to say it, but then they don't have the balls to do it. They don't have the platform, or they don't have the cojones, however you want to see that. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to be that guy. I'm going to be the guy that says what other people want to say, but they ain't got the fucking nuts. So I'm going to say it.
And I love you for that, because I told you, there's plenty of times where they'll be like, oh, if I do this, I'll be like, my publicist is going to kill me. And then every now and then I post it, and the first thing I say is, I didn't say it, Sim said it. So just so you know, I blame you. Every time I repost, I'm like, Sim said, wasn't me. Don't be mad at me.
That's why I tag everything. The funny thing was, when I wasn't tagging, my stuff was everywhere, and no one knew it was me. Then I started tagging that stuff, and now they know it's me, but, there's other politics involved. But, the funny thing about it is, now I've always put my name on everything so that if you got an issue with it, you come to me. You got an issue with that, you come to me. Period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I just keep it that way as much as I possibly can.
So a couple of times, like I said, we've been friends for a while now. A couple of times, people have tried to jack your swag, man.
Absolutely.
It's been a couple of times, and I've sent you messages like, this shirt looks familiar, and you've been like, yeah. And even the big guy, a couple times, I'm going to just put it out there, Reebok, y'all shady as shit,
Shady as shit.
Y'all jack the swag, and I'm looking at a shirt like,
that's crazy.
That looked like Sin shirt.
Absolutely.
That looked like a Sin quote.
Absolutely.
So, I think you're onto something.
Oh, yeah.
When people start jacking your swag, we were just talking about this, but that's another story. When people jack your swag, you're onto something great.
Absolutely.
So, talking about being great, where is Sin now? Where is Mr.Afrobrutality now? What's the future for you, and what is the future for the brand?
Okay. It's about a year ago. Probably almost a year and a half ago. I got this place, and then I planted myself here, and I slowly started closing the warehouse, firing people that would usually work for me, and I brought in my entire brand in every aspect of it, and I live with it. So I got all my apparel, all my coffee, everything's around me. So I'm totally dug in 1,000% on my brand, what it should look like, how it should look, and I deal with it every single day. So a year ago, I realized, I'm like, if I'm going to get anywhere with this, to the point where someone else could legitimately take what I'm doing and run with it and do better than me, then every person in the world has to know who I am. So how am I going to do that? Print, media, radio, television, all of that. So slowly and surely, a little bit at a time, I've been able to get into some print media and then some radio piece and some TV piece. So that's the future. I gotta be in print, radio, TV, period. Movies, everything. So it's really been me kind of taking the brand, living with the brand, breathing it every day, sending out stuff at 3 in the morning, doing, checking inventory, doing all this stuff that I would usually just hire other people to do, and taking it on myself and saying I want to be totally immersed in my own brand so that I eat it, drink it, live it, shit it, everything. So that when it's time, when I get the call, that it's time to go. Let's go media. Let's go radio. That I'm totally immersed in it. Exactly.
You're there.
Exactly.
You ain't got to get ready. Stay ready. One of the other things I like to do with this series is I feel like the younger generation has this flawed idea because of social media of what greatness is or how you achieve it. So if you can say anything to them, everybody wants to be a young mogul and they think they're going to post a picture and a selfie and be great. Because I talk about all the time that unless your followers have converted into income or some type of awareness, like you got 1 million followers, so what?
Right.
Or unless you've got the people who follow you involved in a bigger cause or your mission, what are you doing? You've done nothing. So what? And that's why I personally have come to talk to you, because you're doing something. Like, it's not just I have 45,000 followers by my t-shirts. It's like, no, this is the message. You've even posted message recently. Oh, the ones you posted recently about, because people are always posting. You're like, oh, well, really, if you're going to post, you might want to be on Facebook. I saw that one. And you were saying Instagram has this many followers,
Absolutely.
Or Facebook has this, Twitter has this. You throw those things up. I'm like, yo, he giving out jewels. I hope y'all peeping this. So what would you say to these guys? I want to build a brand. What would you say to them?
I'm going to say this. Man, that's such a great question. When I started this, and like I said, when I started this in 2007, 2008, officially, I became a part of a nucleus that I didn't even know I was a part of.
Right.
So I had multi-million-dollar respect. Multi-million-dollar respect. And it's now trying to figure out a way to convert that to something that I can pass on to other people. So work on, and I always tell people, be a local hero. If you really want to start a brand, start with your boys or your crew or whatever. Make that really extremely tight, small knit or network, and then go from there. Accept their opinion, go back and forth, figure out, there still has to be a structure in terms of leader and lieutenant and captain and all that, and runners and messengers and all that. But start extremely local, start extremely small, and just perfect that as much as you possibly can. Because building a brand is not a joke. If you want to copy someone, that's different. Right. If you look at who I follow on Instagram, I only follow people that I do business with, that I respect. I don't really follow other brands. Because you know what? If you follow other brands, there's something in you that if you see something cool, you're going to be like, yo, let me go do that. And I'm like,
yo, I thought I was the only one who thought that way.
My mind is so deep that I'm like, if I see something super tight, I'm like, yeah, but if I change that, that would, so I had to realize, oh man, I got to stay in my own nucleus. I got to stay in my own self. I've got to just dig deeper inside of me and figure out what's really out there that I can do and what I can attach to. But if you follow other people, other brands, other celebrities, your mind is going to say they're more successful than me. I'm going to do what they're doing. So now you're just a copycat of this guy, that brand, this brand. What it took for me to do this particular brand, it took my entire life. That logo that you see, I saw it when I was a kid.
Wow.
The stuff that I wear, the skulls, I've loved skulls since I was a child. Watching, Ghost Rider and reading comic books and stuff like that with the flaming skulls. That's who I've been my entire life. It just took a series of events to really pull that out of me. And once it came out, it was like, we went to town. I went to town with it. Now I've got to stay away from people and other things and immerse myself in myself so that I can pull out the best parts and share with people, just so that I can add on and build a bigger community. So someone could say, you know, 20, 30 years from now, when someone, you know, everything's dust, right? Or, you know, we're not here no more, right? Someone will grab a shirt that they found somewhere in Goodwill, and the motherfucker would say Afrobrutality, and they'll start all over again. What the fuck is that? And then they'll try to Google and reference and figure it out, and it'll all start all over again. And I had to tell, I've schooled so many people on this, and the problem is so many brands call me and they ask for my advice, and I give it to them, they don't do a fucking thing with it. And it feels like a waste of time, but it makes me sharper on how I present my brand, or what my brand is, or my comparison to this and that. So it's all useful knowledge, it's all useful tools, but the one thing is work on you, then start working with other people, but really vibe with people. Like you know, Diva, if I don't fuck with you, I don't fuck with you.
I know, baby.
Fucks with you.
I know, and I fucks with you.
I'm saying, but don't front.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have, maybe you got more followers than me, maybe you got more money than me, but if you a shit and I don't like you, I'm not gonna deal with you. I don't care how many millions of dollars you got.
Exactly.
We might do business on 3rd level, 7th tier, 2nd level, you know what I mean? Like World Trade shit, but not like this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you can front who you are, but it would be much better and a lot more efficient if you figure out who you are and what you truly like, what you truly are passionate about, and just try to figure out a way to pull that out of you and see if it's something that you can use for yourself or something you can put in your community to help other people. So the focus has never really been on me.
Yeah.
Do you know this is the first time I've had my own personal Instagram account? I've never had one.
I know you haven't.
Never.
I know.
I've never
when I
put
saw
myself
it, I was
out
like,
there. Because it's never been about me. Yeah, I might be the orator, I might be the person like pulling the strings, but it's about a bigger community. It's about giving back. That's all I give a shit about. Is seeing young kids anywhere cleaning, jerking, snatching. You know what I mean? Like instead of just playing basketball for hours or football or whatever. Like I want to see the next world class or Olympic weightlifter come out of Harlem or come out of Watts or come out of Compton or whatever. And it's happening. You got CJ Cummings, he's fucking killing it. Kendrick is still killing it.
He's a monster.
We got Jenny Arthur, she's killing it. Kara Heads is still, you know, coaching all of them, and she was a beast back in the day. Like I want 100 of those. I want 1,000 of those. I want to take over what we, you know, what we're seeing now in terms of fitness and all that, you know, get a six-pack. I want to see us as leaders in there because that's a whole nother commerce that our community has never seen.
I agree.
Never.
I agree.
And I want to be the first one to say, I made that happen, I started that, I ignited that, and that became this.
I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been dying to do this interview. Mr.Afrobrutality, Mr. Sin fucking Martinez, I love you. This is my brother. I call him my brother all the time, big brother. I appreciate you taking this time with me. Guys, make sure you follow him on Instagram. Boom, it's right there. You know where I put it. And like I've always said, if you are, and it's funny because I didn't even mention, but if you're not giving back right now in this lifetime, your life is wasted. What are you doing? All right, guys, it's your girl Diva Richards, HWNE TV. I'm out.